Hello, and welcome to Shelby Speaks, the concurrency of our classrooms. I'm Adam Watson, the Digital Learning Coordinator here at Shelby County Public Schools. The word concurrency in our vodcast title reflects the reality of many of our classrooms this school year. Classrooms that are a hybrid of students in person and students at home, often being facilitated by a teacher simultaneously. But it is also an intentional nod to the idea of metaphorical currency in our instruction. In the spring of 2020, our educators were forced to pedagogically invest in new innovative strategies to effectively teach in an emergency distance learning environment. As spring became fall, we faced new challenges, and we are thankful for our spring 2020 investment in growing our learning. Our teachers are spending and trading the pedagogical capital built last school year in order to innovate and collaborate even further this school year. Part of that collaboration involved the creation of a district concurrent classroom Google Doc full of tips, resources, and videos where educators shared with each other how to navigate through our common challenges. It is selections from these videos that we are highlighting in our latest podcast series. In this episode, Kristen Van Meter, a 5th grade teacher at the Marnel C Moorman K-8 school, screencasts the importance of feedback and interactivity in a concurrent classroom, the need for a weekly agenda, the students' use of digital notebooks via Google Slides, and, last but not least, reminds us that pencil and paper can still be a viable option to demonstrate understanding, even for students at home.
Hi there, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time showing you things that we do inside of my classroom. I know there's going to be another video coming out of things happening inside the classroom. I try to make sure all my students see each other as much as possible. We have live lessons. I don't record anything. I have 11 students inside the classroom and 13 students online. And so we try to interact as much as we can through those live lessons and through reflection. I wheel my computer around the room so that the kids, if they're sharing their learning in person, can then be heard at home. And then I have my students who are at home up on the big screen so they can all communicate and see each other often. So I'm going to walk through really quickly how I communicate and show my students everything. So every day I post an agenda. It's very similar time frames. Obviously some things change when things happen inside the building, but we try to stick exactly to the schedule every single day. And so there's no confusion on when they have to be on or not. So if you notice, I always tell them Teams. That's obviously when they have to be on live on Teams. And I have a separate group for them called Shelby at Home. I have all the links that their students are going to need for that either week or that day that we'll be working on, and they already have their information, usernames and passwords and all of that. So if you go into, for example, like Martin Notebook, I had students today say, I have a doctor's appointment, I have a dentist appointment, who are at-home students and actually totally missed the lesson. So I always make sure I have a digital notebook for each subject. So if I go inside, for example, reading, actually I already have it pulled up, so right here. If you look inside reading, you can always go to the date that you missed, and these are all anchor charts that we create together. I always make sure they know the target, what we're working on for the day, and then also the anchor chart that we had. I always try to make everything interactive. So inside Google Classroom, that's where I'll post. For example, if I make something, I'll post it in there. I try to do a week at a time that we work through. And so this is an example of a social studies unit that we did. And they have assignments and things that they can work on, label and everything. I try to make it all interactive so that students who are at home can do it as well as in the classroom. They always have the option as well. A paper pencil, I send home packets every Thursday, and then parents can pick that up over that weekend, and then on Monday they'll have that ready to go. So I do offer paper pencil for everybody. Most of my students do like doing online. There's a couple who will post pictures, and I'm going to show you that in just a second, of their work samples. So I always create a folder for each student. It's shared together. So anytime they upload anything into either the social studies folder or writing folder, I have access to that. When they're like, oh, I'm ready for a check-in, we can go in immediately and look at that. So let's look at an example. If I'm looking at the reading folder, this student is an at-home student, and this student also prefers to write down in a notebook for, let's say, reading. So inside of their reading folder, everything is dated, and then it also says the target that we're doing. So for example, I go inside their fiction folder. We're in a fiction unit right now. And inside their fiction folder, if you look, everything has a date. This student is at home, but they like to do paper pencil, totally fine. But here's their pieces of evidence. In 5th grade, you have to do a defense. So this is a great way to be able to go back and say, see, I labeled it like 9/15/2020. That's compare and contrasting the characters, compare and contrasting events. Everything's labeled so we can easily find that and use that for pieces of evidence. We already have gone through our first unit, so I did send everybody their assessment. For online students who are at home, I sent that to them, and then they were able to write on there, and I was able to give them feedback. So I actually just, I think, had that one pulled up. I can immediately give them feedback and talk to them about where they are as a learner, so it's nice and easy for them. For math, I do the same thing in terms of the digital notebook, always uploading just in case they miss the lesson. They can go back and look at the anchor chart, and then we can check in when they're ready. But I try to do a week at the time. I realize it doesn't always go to plan. Things might be a little bit more difficult as you go along, so you might not do as much inside of there. But I always try to make it very clear. There's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, about what they should be doing during that time. I write them feedback if you notice. And this is actually really easy to do with your students who are in person. If they choose to do the online option, they can have this up right on your computer ready to go. It honestly, when you post it into Google Classroom under classwork, it is so nice because it makes every student make a copy, and then it titles it literally their name and then whatever the target is. So like if it says LT and BT1, that's what it would be titled. So I can easily find that. And I can give feedback, so I don't have to stand right next to the student in person. If I feel uncomfortable with that, I can always stay back and just grade it up here, and then immediately give them feedback on the document or in person. So it works really nicely. I message all through GoGuardian. Students really don't have an issue going anywhere else because they know exactly where they need to be.